Ladies and gentlemen, what we just witnessed in Manhattan in a courtroom today, it wasn't justice. It was the desperate last gasp of a dying establishment. They thought they had him. After all the lawfare, all the political persecution, Judge Merchan finally had Trump in his courtroom for sentencing. But something remarkable happened. No jail time, no fines. These are the same people who have spent years trying to destroy him, and they couldn't even get their pound of flesh. But of course, they did get to put a scarlet letter on him as a felon. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. This is not just about Trump, it's about their entire system of control that is crumbling. Speaking of fighting back against the rigged system, let me tell you about something they don't want men to know. While we watch Trump stand strong against political persecution today, millions of American men are having their strength drained by something they eat every day. It's not what you think. This common food is destroying testosterone levels all across America. So visit sculptnation.com/NNN to discover what this testosterone killing food is and how avoiding it could transform your energy and vitality. Don't let them weaken you. Take control of your masculine energy today at sculptnation.com/NNN. It is linked below. Okay, what? Oh my. We just got $100 from Ruby Sue. Whoa. Sorry. Okay. Last night at Mar-a-Lago, President Trump spoke to Peter Doocy ahead of today's sentencing, and this is what he had to say.
Time ago, the real vote. Yes, President Trump, just a few minutes ago, the Supreme Court ruled that they are not going to slow down the sentencing. It's on for tomorrow. Now what?
Well, they called for an appeal, and as you know, they acknowledged what the judge said about no penalty, and there's no penalty. But we're going to appeal anyway, just psychologically, because frankly, it's a disgrace. It's a judge that shouldn't have been on the case. He's a highly conflicted judge. And they called for an appeal. So I read it, and I thought it was a fair decision, actually. So I'll do my little thing tomorrow. They can have fun with their political opponent. As you know, I'm under a gag order from a judge. This is the first. This was an attack of a political opponent. And if you take a look at it, I'm not supposed to be talking about it, so I won't. I'm the first president and probably one of the first candidates in history that's under attack with a gag order, where I'm not allowed to speak about something. And they ought to find out what that's all about. And this is a long way from finished. And I respect the court's opinion. I think it was actually a very good opinion for us because you saw what they said. But they invited the appeal, and the appeal is on the bigger issue. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's going to work out well. We beat Jack Smith. He's back, I hope, at The Hague, but I don't think he should be there either. He puts people in very bad positions, like giving people death penalties. I will tell you, Jack, he is a disgrace. We won all of those cases. We won most of the other cases, or they're limping along. We've had a lot of lawfare. These are all people that understand what's going on here very badly. This was an attack on the Republican Party. This was an attack on the Republican candidate who just won an election by record numbers, the highest number of Republican votes by far ever gotten. And we won all swing states, 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by millions of people. And that was the real vote. And I said it a long time ago, the real vote is that. And they tried to stop that from happening. They tried to stop this election from happening, or to bloody somebody up so badly they couldn't win, and the people got it. And again, we won by the largest number. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. It was conclusive. It was a massive, they say, the most consequential election in 129 years. And these people, the people know everything that you're asking. They've been studying this for 2 years as it went along. And hopefully it'll never happen again, an attack on a political opponent. So Peter will be appealing the decision.
Yes, President.
They will be appealing decision. Here's Trump War Room earlier today on Merchan. He says, "It is the citizenry of this nation." Wait till you hear this. This is Caitlin Collins over at CNN being forced to report this.
Citizen. The most interesting statement from Judge Merchan just a few moments ago before he left the bench was acknowledging Trump's election win. He was saying, ordinary citizens don't get these kind of legal protections. It's the office of the presidency that is bestowing these to the office holder. And he said it is the citizenry of this nation that recently decided that you should once again receive the benefits of those protections, essentially acknowledging that, yes, because Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated in a few days, that is changing the sentencing here. Most interesting.
Yeah, buckle up. There's a new sheriff in town. Here is Carrie Kupak discussing as they walked into the courtroom. Let's listen in.
Himself, and then of course we heard from the lead prosecutor, Joshua Steinglass. We heard from Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's attorney, who is set to become the #2 official at the Department of Justice in just about a week from now. We heard from Donald Trump himself, and then of course we heard from Judge Juan Merchan. Donald Trump, I thought, gave a pretty effective statement where he said quite simply, I was indicted because my accountant labeled legal expenses, and that's why I'm here. He said this person could have labeled them concrete or electrical or anything like that. They didn't. They were legal expenses because they were payments to a lawyer. They were logged as such, and now I've been indicted. He also talked about Michael Cohen. He said how he was a disbarred attorney, but yet he was allowed to speak as if he was George Washington. He pointed out from the screen that he was speaking from, he saw into the courtroom, and he could see Matthew Colangelo, who used to be a top senior official at the Biden Department of Justice, who left that spot, took a pretty big career downgrade to go join Alvin Bragg and prosecute Donald Trump. He pointed him out and said, this is evidence that the Department of Justice was involved. That was his perspective. And then he said, and I thought this was a very effective line, he said, speaking to Judge Merchan, he said, people watched the trial in your courtroom and the people voted decisively. I won all 7 swing states. And, as he was saying that, I was thinking about, as I walked into the courtroom, that the only protesters, per se, who were here were Trump supporters. And even as I'm standing here right now, I'm looking into a square and I'm looking at people holding Trump flags. I'm looking at a person who has a sign that says, enough is enough. We voted. We don't want this lawfare anymore. And I will note on the audio playback that we're about to get from the court, and so everyone will be able to hear from themselves, it is noteworthy that during the trial, there was no audio, there were no cameras, but for this particular sentencing, Judge Merchan agreed to have audio. I can't help but think it's because he wants the world to hear his voice sentence Donald Trump, because we were not able to have that before. But that's how these things go. So we heard.
Wow. Unconditional discharge. Here's President Trump's attorney weighing in, Todd Blanche, addressing the court.
A lot of what the government just said presupposes that this case is legally appropriate and that the charges that were brought by the people were consistent with the laws of New York. Again, we very much disagree with that, and as everybody has been noted, because it's true, we certainly intend on appealing that. And it's not, by the way, just counsel and President Trump that feels that way. There's many legal experts that share the same views that I just said, which is that legally this case should not have been brought, both based on the facts that were established at trial and also on the legal basis for which they were brought. But it's also not just the legal experts, not just counsel, and not just President Trump, but the majority of the American people also agree that this case should not have been brought. I mean, the interesting thing about the fact that there was a trial for the first time in our history, a criminal trial during an election season, is that the American voters got a chance to see and decide for themselves whether this is the kind of case that should have been brought. And they decided. And that's why in 10 days, President Trump is going to assume the office of the President of the United States. A lot of what the
Suck it! Trump's coming back. He can be president. Steve Cortez posted this. It was a screenshot of Kevin Ken Dilanian, and you can see his handle there clearly states that Ken is a member of NBC. And the screenshot reads, "Now you can call him a convicted felon." Yeah, that's what they want. They want to put that scarlet letter on him, calling him a convicted felon. Steve Cortez makes a point to say, no matter how much you hate the corporate media, it is not enough. They show their true colors time and time again. And this post is evidence of that. Oh, Donald Trump, not punished for his criminal conviction in the Manhattan hush money case. The judge declined to sentence the president-elect to prison or impose fines after a jury found him guilty of 34 felony counts of business fraud. Breitbart News says years of corrupt lawfare, throwing anything at the wall that they could. Today, they finally get their pound of flesh. Brendan Dilley, the head of the Dilley meme team, Warlord Dilley, man, those guys, the memes those guys put out are fire. Okay. He says Judge Merchan's a communist dick. Nothing he does or says today will matter after the case goes through the appeals process. As we showed you at the very beginning of this segment, Donald Trump's already said they're going to appeal this thing. Dilley says this entire farce is nothing more than an event to give the mainstream media and Democrats a narrative to push for 4 years, but it won't work because no weapon formed against him shall prosper. Amen. They haven't learned yet. They just haven't learned. Every single thing they throw at this guy just bounces right off of him. He is the Teflon Don. So they want to slap the name felon on him? Sure. You could do it. You could slap it on him. And then he's going to appeal. Then he's going to win. And then he's going to be president. And everyone's going to be going to the White House. They're going to be going to Mar-a-Lago. They're going to be kissing the ring. Just like Zuckerberg and all the other billionaires. Now, prior to the sentencing, let's see. Let's see what this is. Laura Ingram. Let's see what she had to say here.
Jonathan. This is a Fox News alert. The Supreme Court has just denied President Trump's application to stay or halt his sentencing in that Manhattan case, which will now happen tomorrow. It was a 5-4 decision with Justices Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh dissenting. That means Amy Coney Barrett went with the majority. Jonathan Turley will join us in moments on that. But first.
Okay, so what's interesting about that? See, Trump sent it up to the Supreme Court. And the document, I was showing this to Angie. Here's the document. This is what they filed because they were trying to get this sentencing thrown out. They didn't want to go to court today. They didn't want to deal with the stuff, the felony label and all that. But I was pointing this out to Angie. This is the filing. And it's so historic what it shows. I mean, the fact that you have in the Supreme Court of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, the applicant, versus the people of the state of New York by Alvin Bragg, acting Justice Juan Merchan of the Supreme Court of New York and New York respondents. On application for stay of criminal proceedings in the Supreme Court of New York County, New York, pending the resolution of President Trump's interlocutory appeal on presidential immunity. So they're trying to hold this off because there's still this discussion of presidential immunity. Because don't sentence. Let's wait for this other court to rule on presidential immunity. But no, they went ahead anyway. Application for a stay of criminal proceedings in the Supreme Court of New York County, New York, pending the resolution of President Trump's interlocutory appeal on presidential immunity. The significance of this document, this is history. You're looking on the screen. This is history. Never in the timeline of this great republic have we ever seen anything like this. You are living history right now. You are watching it unfold on this screen. You're part of it. I mean, the fact that we are living through this moment, people are going to talk about this moment for decades and decades. They're going to study this moment. This document on the screen right here is going to be part of that. Where a president-elect, look what it says there. It's at the very top. President Donald J. Trump had to file with the Supreme Court to stop these crooks from throwing the book at him for a fake trial, to try to stop him from becoming president again. Do you guys recognize the significance of this historic moment? Look at that. Just look at that for a minute. This is history. Good Lord. Wow. And then the Supreme Court said, nah, we're not gonna go ahead and run it. The Supreme Court denied Trump's motion to block the sentencing. Mike Davis wrote this: Dear Supreme Court, Judge Merchan is allowing audio in the court. He allowed nothing during the trial. The only reason for this, obviously, is so the world can hear Merchan sentence Trump. If that doesn't scream everything you need to know about this case, I don't know what else does. And then here's this case. This is Simon Ateba. This is the official document that the Supreme Court said that Trump should be sentenced tomorrow. The application for stay presented to Justice Sotomayor and by her referred to the court is denied for the following reasons. What were those reasons? First, the alleged evidentiary violations of President-elect Trump's state court trial can be addressed in the ordinary course of appeal. So they're saying, oh, you can be sentenced, and then you can just address it through appeal. That's their ordinary course of the flow of justice, I guess, if you will. So, yeah, just sentence him, he'll appeal it. And that's what Trump's going to do. But they still were allowed to brand him a felon, and that's all you're going to hear from the mainstream media and all the left-wing politicians celebrating he's a felon, he's a felon. Like I just showed you, that NBC guy. You can now call him a convicted felon. Second, they said the burden that sentencing will impose on the president-elect's responsibilities is relatively insubstantial in light of the trial court's stated intent to impose a sentence of unconditional discharge after a brief virtual hearing. Oh, okay, so, it's not really a big burden at all. It's relatively insubstantial. Justice Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh would grant the application. The application for stay presented to Sotomayor by her referred to the court is denied. Yeah, it's denied. So, yeah, they can call him a felon. But you know what? We don't care. But check this out. Okay, check this out. Pay attention. Okay. This guy's been on fire lately. Stephen A. Smith. Now, I used to play his clips because he would just make outrageous statements from the left perspective. And I'd always hit a counterpoint on whatever he's saying. But this guy's waking up. This guy's waking up, man. Okay? Check this out. Wait to hear what he has to say. This guy, he goes nuclear on the Democrat judge for moving forward. The Democrats are waking up. They see through it. This is all backfiring. It's backfiring bigly. Huge. Watch.
Juan Merchan. You might be surprised with what I have to say about this.
Oh, yeah, let's hear it.
This is the kind of stuff that just validates assertions about stuff being politicized.
Boom.
Maybe not specifically with Trump, but the suspicion definitely is there. What is the purpose of this? Is he going to jail? Is he going to jail? You going to get a fine? We got to sit up there and go through all the pomp and circumstance when you know you're not going to do anything. He was certified today as the next president of the United States of America. Come January 21st, He will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States of America. But you want to sentence him. You're Juan Merchan. Who is he? The state Supreme Court justice in New York. You want to sentence him next Friday. And by the way, what is the sentencing about? Because see, we got to be real about it. We just got to be real about it. 34 felony counts. It sounds very, very damaging. It's a hush money case. Essentially, the case against Donald Trump is that he is alleged to have engaged in relations with a former porn star, and he made efforts involving finances to keep her mouth shut. That's what all of this is about. You know what some people said to me when they were talking about this? They said, could you please tell me what's the difference between this and somebody signing an NDA? I don't know the answer to these questions. I'm just telling you what people's thought process is. And you might be surprised.
Oh, man. Oh, wow. Stephen Smith, man, he's waking up. And, of course, prior to all this, you knew this was going to happen. DA Alvin Bragg, he responded to the Supreme Court with a motion to deny. Mike Engelman says, in my opinion, I don't believe Judge Merchan is holding a sentencing hearing for Trump not sentence, regardless of his earlier statement. Merchan has gone rogue in defiance of the Supreme Court, and now they must step in and stop this attack on the Republic. Well, the Supreme Court did not. Here's that document again. Trump, of course, asking the Supreme Court to block it. I mean, here's something curious. This was Trump's appeal published at SCOTUS, requesting a delay in the sentencing. They used a sentence in here. I was like, this is like down the rabbit hole, like literally. Jack Lee points out that the classic phrase was used, sentence first, verdict afterwards, quoting the book Alice in Wonderland. Trump and his team were quoting Alice in Wonderland in their appeal. Trump. The New York court's insistence on holding a criminal sentence before Trump's appeal on immunity are resolved reflects the justice of the Queen of Hearts, who said sentence first, verdict afterwards. L. Carroll, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, 1865. The fact that they would quote Alice in Wonderland in this just shows you how crazy this all is. So, the deep state threw everything they had at Donald Trump today. A politically motivated judge, a gag order, unprecedented for a presidential candidate, and a media circus ready to pounce. But just like every other attempt to stop him, this one failed spectacularly. Trump, he rose more powerful than ever, with supporters waving flags outside while his opponents scrambled to explain their latest defeat. And remember, folks, this isn't just about a court case. It's about the establishment's desperate attempt to stop the inevitable. So here's what I want you to think about, patriots. Why do they rush to sentence Trump just days before his return to the White House? Share your theories in the comments below. Stand strong with our exclusive Mag Avengers gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It is linked down below.